Today, we delve deeper into fascinating accounts of giant prehistoric humans who supposedly roamed North America and other parts of the world, expanding upon our last episode, where Sarah Winnemucca recounted the Paiute legend. According to this lore, the Paiutes encountered, and eventually exterminated, a tribe of red-haired cannibals in a cave. Building on this, we'll begin by exploring an 1896 article from the New York Journal, which reports the discovery of large human footprints in Victoria, British Columbia, and Carson City, Nevada. Notably, the latter site lies near the location tied to the Paiute extermination of the red-haired people. This article, speculative and evocative, will be followed by scientific interpretations as we assess whether these footprints, supposedly of human origin, could actually belong to another large prehistoric creature. To balance the credulous with the skeptical, we'll review another set of accounts from 1919. One article describes the discovery of an 18-foot-tall human skeleton near Seymour, Texas, a claim that captured the imagination of many at the time. A second article from that year, Cycles of Giants, casts doubt on this claim, urging readers to question the authenticity of the giant skeleton's existence. By presenting both supportive and skeptical accounts, we aim to create a well-rounded exploration of these mysterious footprints and skeletons, potentially relics of an ancient race of human giants in North America. Our exploration begins with an article published on Sunday, August 23, 1896, in the New York Journal, titled, "Is This the Ancestor of the American Race?" The article opens with the announcement from Victoria, British Columbia, regarding the discovery of enormous footprints on the island of Victoria, near Quatsino on the west coast. These massive imprints, reported by John L. Leeson, a respected local storekeeper, appear distinctly human and offer what some believe to be compelling evidence of a prehistoric giant race on the Pacific coast. The Sunday Journal's telegraphic inquiries uncovered additional details, yet no definitive scientific opinion had, at that point, confirmed their authenticity. The discovery is said to have caught the attention of the Provincial Historical Society, who promptly launched an investigation. The article suggests that these findings might spark intense debate within archaeological circles, especially if further examination deems the impressions genuine. Should they withstand scientific scrutiny? An enduring question remains. Were these the footprints of a human ancestor, or an entirely different, now extinct creature? Such discoveries hold the power to reignite age-old curiosity about humanity's origins and early evolution, reigniting debates about whether our ancestors were once grand, formidable beings or small, vulnerable creatures surviving among the era's ferocious wildlife. Leeson's discovery unfolded as he wandered near Quatsino, when he encountered an enormous depression in a large, flat rock. Situated at the base of a mountain, this depression immediately resembled a human foot, yet its scale was astonishing. The indentation included a well-defined heel hollow and a faint but discernible arch, with the ball and forward toes clearly outlined. As the article notes, no known animal has an arched foot similar to that of humans. Leeson, compelled by his discovery, carefully measured the footprint, finding it to be 29 inches in length with a depth of 4 inches. His curiosity led him further along the path of the imprint, where he soon discovered another, nearly identical, footprint a full 9 feet from the first, a stride that would indicate a truly monumental figure. Leeson meticulously tracked the path of these impressions, finding more footprints that abruptly disappeared. He theorized that the surrounding landscape, likely reshaped by eons of volcanic and geological shifts, could explain the prints' preservation. Ancient volcanic activity may have buried these footprints, hardening them into rock, until another eruption resurfaced them for discovery ages later. In this manner, these prints, like countless others from ancient periods, provide invaluable clues about the beings that once traversed the earth. Leeson's find, while still speculative, reminds us of the complexity of piecing together humanity's distant past and beckons us to ponder the possibility that giants once roamed the landscapes we now call home. As we continue to explore, let us weigh both the wonder and skepticism surrounding such ancient mysteries. Leeson, eager to secure public acknowledgement as the footprint's discoverer, has already begun chiseling out his initial find. The question of prehistoric giants on the North American continent has been a subject of curiosity and scientific inquiry for some time. Perhaps the most intriguing evidence so far had been uncovered at Carson City, Nevada. In 1868, during excavation for a penitentiary, Warden Batterman unearthed tracks in a massive clay and metamorphite bank that sparked local debate. Initially, scientists attributed the tracks to an extinct wading bird. Shortly after, however, another significant find at 16 feet below ground level revealed mastodon bones, some of which dissolved upon exposure, but fragments were preserved for further study. This discovery intensified when a pattern of footprints was uncovered, intriguing archaeologists and spectators alike. These footprints appeared to form hundreds of parallel lines intersecting each other, and though not immense in size, their shape bore an uncanny resemblance to human feet, imprints seemingly embedded in soft clay that had since hardened into rock, preserving the past. Upon measurement, the prints ranged from 18 to 21 inches in length. News of this finding quickly spread, drawing scientists and experts from across the West, each bringing their theories to the discussion. Professor Lacconi believed the tracks were from a massive sloth, a towering arboreal creature that once roamed the forested lands of Nevada. However, Professor Harkness held a different view, contending that these were the marks of an ancient race of humans, giants who once traveled across what was then a verdant and life-rich expanse. As excavations continued, additional and larger footprints appeared, this time belonging to mastodons, whose remains had already been found. Curiously, these mastodon prints seemed to overlap with the human-like ones, suggesting the two creatures may have coexisted or even encountered one another. This discovery posed an interesting question. Were the sloths and mammoths traveling companions? The notion seemed implausible, given their distinct habitats and behaviors. Alternatively, could it be that these giants, wielding crude stone axes and arrows tipped with obsidian, were hunters, tracking the massive beasts across the plains? Though in decay, the bones provided enough evidence to imagine the scale of these creatures. The mastodon footprints measured an astounding 29 to 34 inches across, dwarfing even those of an African elephant, which range only between 12 to 16 inches. The immense weight of the mastodon left deep ridges in the clay, towering a foot high. It takes little imagination to envision these giants standing their ground, bringing the beast to bay with cries echoing over the barren plains, a clash of primal power and survival. The rocks themselves add a final layer of realism to this scene. Ahead of the mammoth tracks, other prints hint at the presence of a large wading bird. These impressions reveal the bird's hurried retreat, claw marks deepening as they took flight, disturbed by the commotion and trumpeting of the mammoth and the battle cries of the hunters. Life during this prehistoric era was unrelenting, with man surrounded by formidable neighbors in a harsh and icy climate. Giant, woolly pachyderms, larger than any elephant, roamed alongside monstrous rhinoceroses, colossal hippopotamuses, and predatory tigers, hyenas, and bears of unmatched ferocity. The chill of the Ice Age extended even to the south of France, allowing woolly creatures to thrive far beyond their usual habitats. Throughout these lands, the primitive weapons and tools of early man reveal a striking uniformity, underscoring the shared ingenuity and resilience of early humans, who faced the brutal trials of their world. The stone tools and weapons, hammers, axes, and others, found across continents reveal striking similarities in design and usage, from Europe and Asia to America. These findings suggest a remarkable uniformity in the lifestyles of early humans. Based on remains unearthed in France from the Stone Age, it appears that these ancient people were built with massive bones, long and flat feet, and notably short arms contrasted by extended forearms. Their physical power was evident in the strength of their musculature, particularly in their jaws and forearms, which displayed pronounced, robust development. Their nostrils were wide, their jaws prominent, and their cranial capacity akin to that of modern humans. Professor Broca noted that the thigh bones of these individuals approached the thickness seen in the largest apes, and their lower jaws displayed a formidable width. M. Lartey, another archaeologist, concluded that the Stone Age man was a fierce predator, largely carnivorous, and potentially even cannibalistic, surviving without access to fruits or a varied diet. The notion of gigantic human races walking the earth in ancient times remains scientifically inconclusive, yet cultural traditions from the earliest civilizations lend credence to such an idea. Many of these traditions depict a time when giants were said to roam freely, powerful beings whose existence faded into legend as the world evolved. This article from the August 23rd, 1896 issue of the New York Journal also references scientific articles from the 1880s, which investigated similar footprints found near the Nevada State Prison. In one 1884 paper published in Science, William Blake reprinted sketches of tracks resembling human footprints, yet concluded they were likely the markings of a giant sloth. Another, briefer article by O.C. Marsh appeared in 1883 in the American Journal of Science. Marsh's findings reported a multitude of tracks uncovered in the Nevada State Prison yard as workers quarried sandstone for building purposes. According to Marsh's observations, a variety of footprints were unearthed, from impressions likely left by animals akin to elephants, horses, and deer, to others suggesting wolves and large birds. The footprints formed continuous series along nearly the same geological horizon, preserving a scene of life long past. Some smaller tracks appeared sharp and well-defined, while many larger impressions were less distinct, seemingly due to variations in the surface's exposure. Notably, 6 series of what were initially presumed to be human footprints were found, with alternating right and left tracks, each stride measuring between 2.5 to over 3 feet in length. The footprints themselves measured approximately 18 to 20 inches long and 8 inches wide, with a spacing of 18 to 19 inches between the right and left tracks. Dr. W. H. Harkness, who presented his analysis to the California Academy of Sciences in 1882, provided a detailed drawing of one of these impressions, later echoed by Professor Joseph Lacconi in his paper to the same society. However, the unusual size and width between the tracks hinted that they may not have been made by humans. Rather, Marsh proposed a more probable explanation, that the footprints belonged to a large prehistoric sloth, such as a Mylodon or Moratherium, whose remains have been found within similar geological layers. Supporting this hypothesis, Marsh observed that the footprints closely matched what one would expect if a sloth's hind feet overlapped with the impressions left by its forefeet. The size, stride, and width between the tracks aligned with the known characteristics of a Mylodon, adding credibility to this interpretation. Figures in the article illustrated comparisons between the bones of a sloth's hind foot and the supposed human footprints, and Marsh's later examination of photographs and casts of the Carson footprints only confirmed his belief that the tracks were made by large, extinct edentates. Notably, some tracks even showed faint impressions of forefeet positioned slightly outside the larger hind footprints, consistent with the movement patterns of a giant sloth shifting direction. These findings present a vivid tableau of the ancient Nevada landscape. Here, long before modern civilization, massive sloths and other formidable creatures wandered the earth, leaving behind traces that would stir the imagination and curiosity of future generations. Whether evidence of giants or echoes of ancient animals, these tracks compel us to contemplate the primitive and powerful beings that once inhabited our world. In his 1882 paper, Dr. W. H. Harkness presents a scene reminiscent of ancient life, vividly setting the stage for his observations of the Nevada tracks. Presumably, he writes, we stand on the shore of this ancient pond or lake, imagining an observer surrounded by a myriad of footprints from creatures long gone. The mammoth, the deer, the wolf, various birds, and even horses. Among these, Harkness asserts, lies the most remarkable discovery, the distinct imprints of a human foot clad in a sandal. 6 distinct series of human tracks stretch across the site, each containing between 8 and 17 footprints, all aligned with careful regularity. In most cases, the toe area of the footprint shows remarkable clarity, its surface smooth, almost as if sculpted by a mason. Each series displays the toe portion smoothly imprinted, followed by marks indicating the outer part of the sole. Notably, one series stands out with a sandal design differing from the others, hinting at a possible diversity in the ancient footwear. When examining the sandal's dimensions, Harkness notes their unusual proportions. Each measures 18.5 inches in length, with the ball of the foot spanning 8 inches across and the heel a solid 6 inches in width. The shape closely follows the natural contours of a human foot, with a graceful curve extending outward from the great toe, sweeping inwards toward the instep, and finally tapering towards the heel. This contour is consistent across the tracks, though one series features a deeper curve, suggesting a variation in sandal style. The average stride length is approximately 2 feet 3 inches, while the distance between the feet, a pronounced straddle, measures 18 inches from the center of one sandal to the next. Addressing skepticism about the print's authenticity, Harkness considers two primary objections. First is the sheer size of the sandal, which some might find implausibly large. To this, Harkness argues that a primitive individual would have likely fashioned a sandal to protect his foot using available tools, such as an obsidian gouge. He suggests that the ancient craftsman would carve out a hollow for the foot's interior, leaving a raised border around the edges. This raised edge could provide both protection and a means of securing thongs to fasten the sandal. It would make sense, he asserts, that a person with a foot of 12 to 13 inches might wear a sandal of substantial size, as depicted by these prints. Second, Harkness tackles the peculiar, straddling gait evident in the prints, which some might argue points to an animal rather than a human. He explains that in muddy or slippery conditions, people tend to spread their feet apart for stability. Moreover, the use of oversized, cumbersome sandals could necessitate a wider stance, making this gait both practical and necessary. Harkness also reminds readers that these are just one of 6 series of footprints, each exhibiting the same compelling characteristics of human foot shape and stride. These articles, written in the late 19th century, reflect a blend of scientific curiosity and a willingness to entertain the extraordinary, especially in the regions inhabited by the Northern Paiutes, near the Nevada State Prison. As intriguing as Harkness's theories are, the modern scientific community has not embraced the notion that these footprints belong to a prehistoric human. Instead, contemporary interpretations, such as those of O.C. Marsh, suggest that these impressions were likely left by large, sloth-like creatures, relics of ancient fauna rather than human giants. And so, the question lingers, suspended between High-In, a 2009 article published in ICNOS, an international journal dedicated to plant and animal trace studies. New light was shed on the historical claims of prehistoric human footprints in North America. The article, Human Holocene Footprints in North America, revisits some of the most debated footprints, including those discovered during the 19th century quarrying in Nevada State Penitentiary in Carson City. While local reports initially attributed the tracks to gigantic humans, further examination suggested they were left by various animals like mammoths, horses, tigers, sloths, and peccaries. Among the finds were also elephant and horse bones and teeth, which seemed to corroborate this interpretation. Some prints, however, appeared distinctly humanoid, measuring up to 21 inches in length and up to 9 inches in width. This led to the controversial suggestion that a new species, Homo nevadensis, could be responsible. Yet, upon further analysis, scientists found inconsistencies in the track structure and stride, leading them to suspect that these impressions weren't human after all. Instead, the prints showed a striking similarity to the hind foot of a Rancho La Brea sloth, suggesting the tracks were likely made by an edentate. The discovery of Mylodon bones within the same deposits added further weight to this hypothesis. This is not the only instance where purportedly human tracks have invited debate. Near Paluxy, Texas, claims have surfaced of human footprints supposedly intermingled with dinosaur tracks, further suggesting the coexistence of humans with prehistoric creatures. Yet, these so-called human tracks have been debunked. Scientists now regard these footprints as the product of natural erosion, whether dinosaur prints that have coincidentally taken on a human-like shape, or in some cases, deliberate chiseling. The ICNO's article affirms that these palaxy footprints, much like those at Carson City, are not remnants of a giant human presence, but rather artifacts of natural processes. Next, we move to a widely circulated story from the summer of 1919, recounting the alleged discovery of an 18-foot-tall fossilized skeleton near Seymour, Texas. First reported by the Coconino Sun on July 11, 1919, this article presents an astonishing claim. According to Austin-based Professor J. Pierce, if this skeleton were authentic, it would mark one of the most significant ethnological discoveries in history, exceeding the height of the tallest known human by nearly 10 feet. The skeleton, reportedly found by Houston oil prospector W.J. McKinney, was allegedly excavated near the surface along a narrow watershed between the Brazos and Wichita rivers. According to McKinney, the skull alone was 6 times the size of an average human skull, leading him to estimate the individual's weight at an astonishing 2,000 to 2,500 pounds and date the remains back approximately 2,800 years. McKinney expressed an intent to donate the bones to the Smithsonian Institution, where Dr. J. Walter Fuchs was leading anthropological research in Texas at the time. Yet, despite this intriguing announcement, there remains no official record or display of this skeleton in any Smithsonian museum, a mystery that only adds to the story's allure. One might wonder what became of these remains, and perhaps those familiar with Smithsonian archives might know more. Yet skepticism was soon voiced. A September 1919 article from the Missoula Sentinel entitled Cycles of Giants questioned the authenticity of the Seymour find. The article humorously observed that stories of prehistoric giants follow a cyclical pattern, referencing well-known hoaxes like the Cardiff Giant of 1869. Crafted from gypsum and discovered near Cardiff, New York, the Cardiff Giant became a famous hoax, celebrated for years before being exposed as a fabrication. This piece suggested that the Texas skeleton might be another such prehistoric man hoax, bound to follow a similar fate once examined by scientists. As we close this exploration of footprints and skeletons, we're left with questions that straddle the line between history and myth. Do these giant footprints and skeletons, scattered across British Columbia, Nevada, and Texas, signify a prehistoric race, perhaps akin to the red-haired giants from the Paiute legends recounted by Sarah Winnemucca? Or, as the modern scientific community suggests, were the Nevada footprints left by a giant sloth rather than a human? The truth remains as elusive as these colossal footprints themselves, inviting both wonder and skepticism. Let us know in the comments. Where do you stand? Typically, we don't delve into topics quite this speculative, but our recent video on the Paiute legend of the giant red-haired Indians has quickly become one of the most popular videos on this channel. Inspired by that response, we've planned a few more episodes along similar lines. Yet, true to our mission, we'll also continue to bring you genuine historical documentaries, presenting the first-hand accounts of people from ages past. Individuals. If you believe in preserving these less-told chapters of our past, consider supporting our work through Patreon or by becoming a member here on YouTube. Your support will be acknowledged at the end of each episode, and you'll gain access to exclusive, members-only content that delves even deeper into our explorations. If this resonates with you, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for joining. We'll see you next time as we journey into the stories of the past that few others dare to tell.